Hey everyone, welcome to the 5 Beer Plan. I'm Brian, and this is the ongoing saga of an everyman's ale trail. In this episode, I'll talk about the history of Oktoberfest, finish off my interview with Zack Bigelow from Ramshackle Brewing in Jonesville, Michigan, and review Kiwi's Krush by FBP Homebrew Project. In this segment of Tales from the Trail, pull up your lederhosen, it's time for Oktoberfest. So, Oktoberfest is an annual festival in Munich, Germany. It's typically held over a 2-week period and ends on the first Sunday in October. The festival originated in October of 1810 to celebrate Crown Prince of Bavaria, who later became King Louis I, to Princess Therese von Sachsen-Hildburghausen. I apologize. The festival ended 5 days later with a horse race that was held in an open area to be called Theresienwiese, which means Therese's Green. The following year, the race was a state agricultural fair, and then in 1818, they introduced booths that would serve food and drink. Well, wouldn't you know it, by the late 20th century, these booths developed into huge beer halls made of plywood, with interior balconies and bandstands. It's interesting, each one of the Munich brewers erects one of these temporary structures every year with seating capacities up to 6,000. The total amount of beer consumed during an Oktoberfest is upwards of about 2 million gallons. Of course, what would a festival be without a parade? So, there are beer wagons and floats along with people that wear traditional folk costumes. Prior to COVID, Oktoberfest drew more than 6 million people each year, and many of them were tourists. I'll be honest, I think it would be a blast to go and experience Oktoberfest just one time. Well, you know, here in the U.S., we have a number of U.S. cities that also participate with Oktoberfest, modeling it after the original one in Munich. These, of course, are popular celebrations featuring beer and German food. So, I was looking online, and I found a little timeline about Oktoberfest. Interestingly, in 1910, that was the 100th anniversary celebrated with a record-setting consumption of beer. In 1913, the largest tent, Brauerosel, is built with 12,000 seats. In 1985, there was the 175th anniversary that was celebrated by roughly 7 million people, which was the most visitors in the festival's history. And then, of course, in 2020, Oktoberfest was canceled due to the coronavirus pandemic. Not surprisingly, Oktoberfest has been canceled 25 times due to disease, war, and even inflation. As it's customary, only beer from Munich breweries are served. The 6 breweries include Augustiner, Hackerspor, Hofbraumunchen, Lowenbrau, Paulaner, and Spaten. At some point in history, the festival was moved to September to allow for better weather. And as mentioned, the last day of the festival is the first Sunday in October. There are a lot of cities around the world that have created their own celebrations, and the largest one outside of Germany takes place in Kitchener-Waterloo in Canada. In this segment of Homebrew Hijinks, it's time for another segment on bottling. I neglected to get a final gravity reading, but since it would be similar to that of my first brew that this is based upon, I figured it to be around 5% ABV. To ensure no contamination will occur while bottling, I prepared my equipment by submerging bottles, caps, tubing, and bottle filler in the no-rinse disinfectant solution prepared in my 1-gallon pitcher. I use something called PBW, which seems to work pretty well. You can get it in powder form, but I use it in tablet form. It's necessary to ensure that all surfaces are in contact with the solution for at least a few seconds. I placed all my bottles in my dish drainer and then began the process of connecting the hose, bottle filler, and fermentation jug together. Once I was ready, I opened the spigot on my fermenter and began to dispense the beer with the bottle filler. Before filling each bottle, I added one of my carbonation tabs into each bottle. When completed, I managed only 6 bottles of this brew due to my not hitting the final volume. But again, I'll keep trying to dial that in. Once finished, I cleaned up my fermenter and brewing equipment and placed the bottles in a box in the basement for the 2-week bottle conditioning. I'll share my thoughts on the beer later in the episode. Now, it's time for Barstool Banter. Listen in as I finish my interview with Zack Bigelow from Ramshackle Brewing. This guy is a deep thinker. We talk about inspiration for beer recipes, how to achieve a consistent beer batch after batch, and his beer drinking preferences. Once again, I have to apologize for the sporadic sound quality. I really am going to have a serious discussion with my sound engineer.
How long have you personally been brewing, Zach?
17 or 18 years.
Wow.
Off and on.
So you moved right from homebrew right into the professional world, and
Yep. Not donating time or anything, helping out.
okay,
Trial by fire. Lots of books.
sure.
Let's see, it was 2013. The Seibel Institute actually slipped and let their entire course syllabus for the Brewmasters BA.
Okay,
They slipped up and released it to the public along with all the books. So I seen that. I bought every single book and read through those. That's what I did.
all right. And that's another thing I think with the brewing side of things, you always have to be learning and trying to stay on top of what the latest trends are, what the latest products are. I mean, we've gone from fresh hops to pellet hops to, now we've got these super high cryo hops, and then I think there's even liquid stuff right now.
Biolized.
It's crazy. Where do you end up getting your supplies from?
Everything is, for me, is style dependent.
Okay.
So country of origin depends on the style. So if I'm brewing the English drizzle, it's everything English, English malts, English hops, English yeast. I even mimic down the water profile to London. So you're getting London water that would be going in there. That's the nearest water source that I could find all of the numbers for.
So do you have a reverse osmosis system here then that you use, or do you just kind of purify it?
I work with a company out of Iowa called Ward Labs, and every 3 weeks I send out my water. And I have cartridge filters that act as a sediment filter that take out what is needed and leaves whatever else.
Okay.
Mimic then London.
Yeah.
I've got a cartridge for London. I've got one for Mexico City because, believe it or not, Mexico City makes the best Vienna lagers.
Really?
Yeah. The original Corona Familiar is a Vienna lager. It's an adjunct Vienna lager.
Okay.
Some of the best Vienna lagers, you'd think German, hands down, has been from Mexico.
Did not realize that.
Yeah. I didn't realize it until about 4 years ago.
I think that's why English beers taste like English beers, because of the minerals and things they've got in the water.
Right.
Same thing, on the West Coast, the water tastes, or Michigan, whatever.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you can go from Jonesville to Hillsdale, or, if anybody listening, Jackson to Ann Arbor. The water is totally different depending on where it's at.
I know a lot of brewers these days are using filtration systems or even reverse osmosis and then treating with minerals and things to try to get the water profiles they want to hit, that flavor profile. And it sounds weird to say, well, I'm adding things to the water, but you're just trying to get a consistent flavor profile in your brew each and every time. So when I come in and drink an English drizzle a month from now, it's going to taste the same.
Yep. Or if you got it out in a tap somewhere else in a restaurant, it's going to taste the same. And it's not chemicals. It's like, hey, I'm adding chalk. I'm adding
calcium carbonate.
Sometimes it's even antacids. Calcium in the antacid actually works as a great buffer.
Interesting. Not the free kind, though.
No, not those.
To be honest, so I just started drinking this English drizzle, and I've had this before. It's just got such a nice flavor to it. It's so smooth, clear as clear can be, which I think is another sign of the fact you've got things dialed in where you want them.
Yeah, and for me, the whole hazy IPA thing, it's lazy, it's scary. I pride myself on if the beer's clear, that means the brewer's doing his job.
Sure.
You know, I miss the days of that crystal crisp clear IPA. I wish those would come back.
You know, every brewer's got their own kind of slant. You know, each one of the beers here, even though they're slightly different colored, so I've got some golden color, got some amber, got some dark brown, they're all very clear. So the clarity on those is just, I mean, it's amazing, Zach, really. So you have done your job, and you're right. It does show that you want to highlight the fact that you know what the hell you're doing. When I first saw this on your menu, I was like, oh, it's going to be super huge and bitter, but it's just got like such a nice, soft caramel, toffee-ish kind of flavor to it.
For me, that the English hops just blend it perfectly. Mm-hmm. It's just straight East Kent Golding.
Okay, that's what I was going to ask. It's solid.
And since that one is our flagship and it goes out everywhere, I had to extend the shelf life on it. So extending the shelf life meant I had to use alpha amylase, which is an enzyme.
Mm-hmm.
One of the benefits of it is it breaks down the protein that is a precursor to gluten in the process. So it's technically gluten removed by process as well. I've had it tested and it comes out to be under 1 part per million of gluten.
Wow. Well, I mean, that's good to know. It's not something that I would have ever thought of before as far as distribution goes. As I was saying earlier, I just started homebrewing this year. I don't know what the hell I'm doing.
Welcome to the addiction.
It's not quite to that point, although I feel like if I'm not brewing something, then I'm being lazy. So I have a 1 gallon system. It's just a 1 gallon carboy. I've got a stock pot that we had at home.
Perfect.
Wife got me a kit 2 years ago for Christmas, and I was like, okay, I'll do this. Well, Christmas went by, I didn't do it. Another Christmas went by, and then I was finally like, if I don't do it, I'm never going to do it. So one of the things that another brewer told me, he's like, listen, he said, if you're going to brew this up, get fresh yeast, get fresh hops, and do it. Probably the best advice I ever had, because fresh ingredients make a huge difference in the beer. So first one was an extract kit. It was a session IPA. Nothing too special. It came out all right. It was Cascade primarily, a little Centennial, a little Chinook, and went to Florida in February, stayed at an Airbnb, and the host was growing her own passion fruit. She came from Taiwan, and she brought one in and one morning for breakfast, because it's an Airbnb, but she treats it like a B&B. It's weird, but anyway, we had breakfast every day. It was pretty wonderful. So fresh fruit every day. So she came in one day. She had this passion fruit cut in half, and it's not like it's a really deep purple passion fruit. The hull is, and the inside is just this like puce or like yellowish colored seeds on the inside. I'm like, this is kind of weird. And she's like, it's passion fruit, because I never had it before. I'm like, all right, I'll try it. Tastes a little bit, and like my whole face, I think, collapsed on itself, starting from my lips, because it was so sour and tart. And I thought, oh my goodness, this would make a great beer. So, internet's a great thing, right?
Yes.
Got on the internet, found myself a recipe, pleaded with her to give me some passion fruit to take home, and so I found a passion fruit sour ale recipe online, brewed it up with citra hops primarily, conditioned it on the passion fruit, and it came out pretty decent. It was an all grain, because I'm like, so that's when I really got the bug. I was like, oh, this is kind of cool. So then I did the third one was a clone of the first one. Instead of using Cascade, I used Tahiki.
Oh, nice.
So Tahiki's got a little bit more of a citrusy profile to it. And that was also all grain. Turned out pretty decent. Just did a dry Irish stout, which was okay. It was a little too bubbly, because I'm still using the fizz tabs for carbonation.
Yep.
One of the things I've got to kind of figure out and dial in is whether I'm going to start using priming sugar or not with each of my bottles. I just brewed up a hazy IPA.
Okay.
So it's got HBC 586, Strata, and Citra, I believe. And so I did that on Saturday. 72 hours later, I just dry hopped yesterday with like twice as many hops as what I had before. And then right before I bottle, I've got a cup with like another 28 grams or something of hops.
Yep.
So it's crazy, but like, I mean, it's super hazy. I mean, you cannot see through it. So lazy, maybe, but I've never brewed that style before, so I'm kind of curious to see how it's going to turn out.
I'm not going to lie, they are fun. For me, it's a day off. I look at it as all right. Once I see the hazy on the brew schedule for the week, I'm going, all right, this is the day off, so to speak. Okay. It's not as technical. I don't have to worry about filtration as hardcore. Mm-hmm. It's just let it flow, let it do its thing.
And for the most part, it seems like even with like the hazies, you don't really add the hops until after you do flame out. Crush your hops in there and let it set. And so really it was 60 minutes. Same thing. I was like, well, it's not going to boil over. I guess I can go and like run some errands. I left it alone while I went out and ran some errands, came back and finished it up. And I was like, oh, it's kind of cool.
Yep, that's kind of how I look at it too.
Again, I'll be curious to see how it turns out, whether it actually fits what I kind of expect it to be.
Yeah. So
I've also thought about doing Kolsch. But again, I don't really have a whole lot of space to cold crash stuff, so that's another challenge I have.
Gotcha.
So for the time being, I'm just going to be a lazy home brewer and I'll deal with the particulates and the non-clear liquids, which is totally fine.
It is. You're learning the steps. You're learning that sanitation is 99% of it.
Exactly.
Before you know it, you're going to be a glorified janitor.
I already feel that way.
Yeah, I do too.
And I'm only doing a 1 gallon carbo. At least I can get my hands in and that's it, whereas you've got to deal with these huge, massive kettles.
Yeah. And then you take it home with you too, and you start scrubbing on the dishes at home because you're so used to seeing those spots. They got to get away. You can't have those spots.
So are you saying you've got PWB at home and you're seeing some star sand?
Actually, no. Actually, I just bring home some of the caustic from here when I got something nasty. Fill up a empty water bottle and a little bit of 2% caustic and blast our stainless stuff at the house too.
What is your favorite part of brewing?
For me, it's the flavors. It's actually being able to play around with different flavors and different techniques, because it's not just a recipe. For me, it's not just, hey, add this grain to this water. I'm going to pull a little bit of chemistry. I'm going to pull a little bit of physics with the heat. I'm going to pull a little biology with the yeast. I need to make sure that the final product is a hospitable environment for the yeast, because that's my workhorse. Right. That's my buddy. I want to keep my buddy alive. But before that, I get to then play with the fine tooth combs and the paint brushes, where a little bit of like a chocolate malt and a little bit of the caramel 60, or hey, I'm going to use this 2-row from this region because I know it brings a little bit more earthiness to it. I get to then build the beer based on the style I'm going for. I can bring all those ingredients from that. That's one of the best things too, not to get sidetracked, but I can pull all the flavors from the world. I can get grain from Lithuania, Romania, wherever, or I can get it from Canada or Japan. I can get all these ingredients and bring them in and find out what their water was that they were using, what their water close enough is. I can serve that beer that they would be brewing in a way too.
You come up with all your recipes on your own, or do you?
Everything's from my own.
Okay.
What I do is I'll pick a main flavor and style and highlight, this is going to be a Russian Imperial Stout or a Baltic Porter. Here's the, then according to the beer judging style guides, what flavors am I going to want to highlight out of those and keep it in style?
Sure. I think that's another thing I keep finding also within the brewing community is that there's a massive amount of creativity. But I find that like everybody wants to add their own special twist, whether it's some sort of local ingredient that they have, or whether it's adding something weird like conditioning on donuts, or juniper berries from, whatever the case may be. I mean, I think that's the cool thing about the industry today is that if you're looking for it, you're going to find it. Somebody's done that probably, unless it's very specific to your region.
Yeah, like using pawpaw.
Exactly.
I mean, I use 500 pounds of pawpaw in a beer that was released on
Oh, nice.
November 1st.
Where do you get your pawpaws from?
Just south of here, there's a farm called Rebel Farms, and they're like off the grid, all natural. I learned about them through a CSA and buying their vegetables and things like that. That's where I learned about it, and then They said, hey, we have pawpaw. I'm like, we're going to be friends. And then for puree, there's a actual pawpaw nursery grower in Owasso, Nash Nurseries. We'll buy their frozen puree, and I'll add that, conditioned it.
So I don't know if you found that to be the case as well. The profile tends to be a little bit more bitter when using fresh fruit.
Yeah, and you got to compensate for that. Back down on the bittering hops because you know you're going to be getting some bittering from, you know, you got to take from that. Say, like the strawberries. We have one called Granny's Jam that I use 450 pounds of fresh strawberries. I hate strawberries by the end of this thing. So, you know, it's just me, my wife, and a couple others. We're popping the greens and we're blending them all up. So, like, I know that's going to be bitter. So I take a little bit of the bittering hops back.
Congratulations again on 4 years. That's pretty awesome.
Thank you.
Making it through COVID. And just in the crazy environment that we live in today with the hard to get supplies. And
it's not hard to get supplies when you stay local.
And see, I think that's something that people overlook. You get to the larger size breweries, I know it's hard.
Yeah.
So do you have a favorite style of beer that you'd like to drink?
If I'm going to a different brewery that I've never been to, it's always Pilsner or a Pale. Those are my benchmarks, because if they come out to style, I know I'm in safe hands. That brewer knows what they're doing. That's how I test a new place. If I'm just out in something low ABV, don't matter what it is, really, just low ABV, and I'm good for maybe one or two. You know, once you crest that 40-year-old mark, you learn your limits. You're not Superman anymore.
Very true, and I have to laugh. I was at a beer festival 2 weeks ago, Northwest Ohio barbecue down to Fort Crick in Defiance. They had a barbecue buffet as well as 20 local breweries. So I always know if I go to something like that, I need to front load a few tons.
Oh, man, that sounds fun, though.
Oh, it's a great time. Northwest Ohio craft breweries.
Yeah.
And the beers are all, I mean, very much like yours, very light, low ABV. Are there any beers you don't like to drink?
That's a tough one, really. I find if it's to style, I should take that back. Anything with grape. I don't like grape anything. But as far as, if it's to style, no problems, man.
To be honest, I'll try anything once. I mean, I think that's the only way you learn whether you like something or not.
Oh, yeah.
Do you have any beers out there that you've always wanted to try but never been able to? So, like, everybody's like, oh, Pliny, or they're like, The Alchemist. I mean,
I won't turn them down, but I'm not dying. I don't have any grail beer. To me, it's more style-based.
All right.
Because it is what it is at that point in time. If it's a good IPA, it's always going to be a good IPA. If it's a good Flanders, then, yeah, it's going to be a good one. It don't matter what the name brand is. It's just, for me, it's more of the style.
That's a good answer. I like that. One last fun question before we wrap up, because I know you've got to get the doors open here.
Yeah.
If you were a beer, what style would you be and why?
That's a pretty good question. I mean, I'd like to say an American Wild Ale. There's just so much everywhere that you can pick up on as far as influences. If you close yourself off into, this is my box, I believe in this ism, then you're going to shut off a lot of either positive or negative influences. And I've always been the type of person that I'll listen to everybody and anybody. Because just because I don't agree with it doesn't mean I'm not discounting you at all. There may be parts of it, but I want to learn it.
Yeah.
I want to learn why you believe that, not just because.
Sure.
To me, that's the interesting part. So, I mean, like an American Wild Ale would probably suit me just fine, just picking up a little bit here, a little bit there, and rolling with it.
I think based on our conversation so far, I think that really fits you as well, because you start out, as you said, with the whole Ramshackle system, basically taught yourself how to brew, read all you could read, and here you are, 4 years later, professionally brewing.
Plugging away at it. Thank you.
That's awesome. Well, hey, I appreciate you spending time with me today.
I appreciate you coming in.
Yeah, absolutely. It's always nice to come back home and to be able to drink local.
Last call.
It's nearly time to wrap things up, but first, one more for the road. This episode, I'm drinking Kiwi's Krush by FBP Homebrew Project. From the brewer, a down-under twist on a session IPA. Instead of Cascade, New Zealand-grown Tahiki hops are added in the boil and dry hop to impart a parching citrus bitterness profile that makes it even more crushable. Without further delay, so this is a 5% ABV session IPA. As we learned about during the brewing process, the dual-use New Zealand-grown Tahiki hops will give citrus notes and tropical fruit leanings. When I pour it out into my glass, it pours kind of a pale amber color. It has a aromatic nose, definitely getting a little bit of that tropical vibe that was in the description. A little overcarbonated. It's got a nice fluffy head. So frankly, this is one of the things that moving forward I'm going to continue to refine. First sip impression here. So it's got kind of a slight malty sweetness on the palate. It's got a mild hop bitterness associated with it. Leaves you with a little bit of a drying citrus kind of finish. It's definitely got a little bit of a crispness to go along with it. Definitely a pretty decent session IPA here. I really enjoy the slight variation here, moving from the Cascade, which is very earthy, very bitter, to more of a slightly less bitter, a little more tropical, a little more citrusy feel. And I will say one of the things that I did inadvertently do when I dry hopped this beer, I had fully intended to dry hop it with Citra, because I really felt that the Citra was going to bring out those tropical notes of the Tahiki hops. In my excitement to dry hop the beer, I pulled out my Tahiki hops instead and used those. In the immortal words of Bob Ross, we don't make mistakes, we make happy accidents. So true. It's a solid beer. You know, every time that I get a chance to brew, it's fun. It's a lot of experimentation, certainly trying to dial in my method with the equipment that I have. So overall, I would give this one 3.5 tasters out of 5 on the flight board. Cheers, FBP Homebrew Project. Well, if you've got a beer you'd like me to drink and describe, leave a comment below. If you're a brewer and have one in mind, direct message me on Instagram and let's see what we can do. Well, that's all for this episode of the 5 Beer Plan. With so many podcasts out there, thanks for choosing to listen to mine. Join me next time for an Aussie-themed segment of Looking for Lupulin, get my hop schedule kicked off on my latest homebrew, and roll out the first half of my conversation with Cody Moon from Science Project Brewing. Remember to hit the subscribe button to be notified of new episodes. I'd love to hear from you, so please follow me on Instagram, 5beerplan2022, and leave a comment to let me know what one of your favorite meaderies is. Be sure to support your local breweries, choose your beers wisely, and drink them responsibly. Until next time, keep walking your ale trail and stay thirsty, my friends.